I'll make sure they regret it. Says he was right.
Here we go. We bloody did it! My blade is thirsty for blood! Oblivion, take you!
Trust me, with all I am, and yet my heart fucking stops when something comes at us. Every fucking time. We should look for game while we're out here.
Bring it on! Fuck off! Hell yeah! It's the end.
boss is going to cut those creepy cave people to pieces.
Yeah, it'll teach them to steal from us. One of them took my good helmet.
Is someone there?
Time to end this little game.
Your lips look cold. Should I warm them up a bit? Oh, God, they've stunk this place up good and proper, didn't they? There's just no bloody end to us, is there? Now let's go. How about we catch your breath, have a sip of water, and maybe I can steal a victory kiss or two, eh?
Well, let's do something about it then!
Damn fucks. Well bloody done. can't. Well, that's a bit fucking grim, isn't it? You know I love the view from back here. Well, I wouldn't mind if you turned around and let me see that beautiful smile of yours too sometimes, eh?
That cave could make good shelter. We clear out whatever's inside.
So many refuse to talk to us. They call us thieves and smugglers. I am glad to see that you are not such a one.
What have you got for sale?
Take a look. May your road lead you to warm sand.
Welcome. Let me know if you want anything. Think I got a clean mug around here somewhere. Hello. Welcome to the Windpeak Inn, the home of the best horker sandwich in all of Skyrim.
I saw your flyer and was hoping to get my friend a sandwich.
By friend, I suppose you mean Kaidan. In that case, no.
Seriously? Don't you think this is getting a little ridiculous?
Well, the truth is I'm out of horker. Just please don't tell him that. Last thing this town needs is another stampede, because of him being hungry.
What if we did some hunting for you? Would you make him a sandwich then?
Tell you what. You bring me 10 slabs of horker meat without a single horker stampeding through town, and I'll make Kaidan a sandwich. Just this once.
I don't really sleep in an inn that often.
I'm sorry.
Meals are nice and all.
My mind was just somewhere else.
Ragnar the fucking red all night long.
Drink.
What could it mean? The return of the Dragonborn? And who among us could possibly hold that honor?
And such power on sand.
Yes, I know just what you mean. My toes are numb from before.
You'll die this deed. Victory! Or summon God!
The mercy of Stendarr does not extend to Daedra worshippers.
I'm glad to be wandering the wilds with you.
Fucking come on then! Die! You're dead!
I do what I do, and you don't like it. Tough. Can't imagine what it must be like, feeling someone's soul pass through you, barely able to wrap my mind around it, and I've seen you do it. Right. The way you look after a fight, all wild and so fucking alive. Gods, I need to kiss you. Like the fuck. You don't slip and fall on your arse.
little!
Son of a bitch had it coming. So, what are we doing tonight?
Brinehammer, Captain's Note. To any who happen upon this wreckage of my ship, hear my story and heed my warning. We have been searching the Sea of Ghosts for years, and never even found a hint at the location of the fabled Black Bone Isle. I was on the verge of giving up on my dream when I met a captain on a routine stop in Dawnstar. They sold me what he claimed to be the Sword of Cyrus, and with it a map to the location of Blackbone Isle, costing me the majority of my wealth and that of my crew. The map and the sword, unfortunately, turned out to be a fake. I should have known better than to trust someone of his kind, but my dream had left me blind to the deception. I left the book that started this journey in the winking skeever in solitude, so I would no longer be tempted to scour its pages for clues. We started with nothing, and we ended with nothing, and so I told my crew to go ashore. I plan to run the ship into the rocks, for there's nothing left for me in this world, and I wish not to turn to piracy for my survival. Do not spare me a thought, reader, for I now sleep amongst the waves where I belong. If you read the book, do not dream of finding the treasure, for it is a fool's errand, and will surely lead you to lose everything you own. Alexi's Journal. A door for every key, a key for every door. But what if, just what if, a single key could open any door? No, I don't speak of the mythical skeleton key of Nocturnal, but something of my own creation. A device that, paired with a bit of skill, one could use to open any lock with ease. No more would I be barred from discovery in some lost ruin, progress blocked by a locked door. But it's not ready yet. I haven't perfected it. Too many onlookers here, though. I must find some remote spot to finish my work. This cave might do, but there are dangerous beasts around. A few waves of my torch generally will remedy that, at least for the short term. However, it occurs to me having vicious wolves around might make for good security. But someone else would have torches as well, or could fight them off, so I'll have to do my best to conceal my work. Yes, that's it. More keys. They'll never find the one in a mass of hundreds of them. Between that and the wolves, I'm certain my invention won't be stolen before I can perfect it. I just can't forget to bring along meat to keep the wolves busy while I work. Brianna's Journal. 17th of Sun's Height, 28 Frostfell. This quill is simply stunning, and it was right where that crazy old mage said it would be. I don't quite know how to work it, or even what it does yet. But this quill simply has to do something special. Writing with it doesn't seem to activate any latent ability, and twisting the ornate handle was fruitless. I'll take another look at it later. 7 Sun's Dusk. By chance, I took the quill out of my pack today and discovered what it does. I've been keeping it out of sight so that it doesn't attract the wrong kind of attention, but when I held it in the center of town, every living being nearby lit up. I have some more testing to find out the limits, but at least I have a start. 19th Sun's Dusk. I've broken into the old Nordic ruin, and the quill reacts to the undead as well. With this, I'll be able to grab all the treasure in here while avoiding any nasty surprises. 30th Sun's Dusk. With my recent success in raiding Nordic barrows, I think it's time to attempt something a bit more ambitious. Dwemer ruins supposedly have some sort of special metal that's really valuable, just laying around everywhere. With this quill to help me evade the Falmer, I should have no trouble making a killing off the next expedition. 15th Evening Star. Got into these stone ruins and out of the ice-cold winds just in time for the rains to start. Wasn't my first choice, but at this point I can't be picky. I'll rest here listening to the wind's musing voice before heading into the ruin proper in the morning. Some say these places are haunted by the ghosts of the Dwemer. I hope they jest. I'll put my faith in the arcane power of the quill to warn me. 16th Evening Star. It turns out I wasn't as prepared for this as I thought. While the quill provides more than adequate warning of Falmer, I didn't realize there would be any automatons still active, and the quill's power doesn't extend to them. While fleeing a spider, I managed to run headlong into a pair of spheres. Then I got turned around and came face to face with a centurion. They're much bigger in person than they sounded in my books. And of all the hallways to run down, this one had to be a dead end. I've barricaded myself in for now, but I can hear it pounding on the door. Maybe it will lose interest, or run out of... What powers these things anyway? Guide to Anvil. Anvil is a prosperous harbor city on the Gold Coast by the Abatian Sea in the very southwest end of Cyrodiil. It is the seat of Count Anvil, and it is located at the end of the Gold Road, west of Skingrad and Kvatch. Sweet Dibella, Lady of Love, bless us and our children. My name is Alessia Otis, and I'd like to tell you about Anvil. The seat of Anvil County is by the sea, and at first glance it's very pretty, but when you examine it closely, it turns out to be quite unpleasant. The water views are charming, but on the docks and in the harbor district outside of town, you'll find many sailors and tramps and dirty persons of little worth. Castle Anvil is clean and well ordered, and within the town walls some houses are bright and cheerful, but others are derelict and abandoned or shabby and neglected, with plaster falling in patches from the stonework, and lunatics and drunkards may be encountered everywhere. Castle Anvil. The ruler of Anvil is Countess Milona. The ruler of Anvil is Countess Milona Umbranix. Her husband, Corvus Umbranix, disappeared many years ago, and most persons would agree that her ladyship was better off without him, for he was a light and frivolous person, and given to loose and riotous behavior likely to promote scandal. The Countess herself is a righteous and godly woman, and an excellent ruler, well loved by the people. If only she could compel the town guard to drive the seamen, low-lives, loafers, and thieves from Anvil streets, Anvil might be a more tolerable place to live. Districts of Anvil. Consider the 5 districts of Anvil. Castle Anvil lies outside the town walls, south of town, overlooking the harbor, and is reached by gate from Chapelgate. Within the town walls are 3 districts: Chapelgate in the east, Westgate in the west, and Guildgate between Chapelgate and Westgate. Harborside lies outside the town walls, south of town, and is reached by gate from Westgate district. Chapelgate. A more beautiful chapel may not be seen in all Cyrodiil. A quiet garden for meditation, with a fine statue of Dibella, lies between the chapel and the town wall, and across from the chapel is a lovely garden and covered arcade, where worshippers are protected from the elements. Regrettably, the people of Anvil seem little inclined to appreciate these advantages, and are seldom seen worshipping in the chapel. Whether this is the fault of the primate, who is a vain and shallow woman, or the countess, who does little to encourage regular chapel worship by her example, I am unable to judge. Guildgate, the most prosperous part of Anvil, is entered by Guildgate, or Main Gate, or North Gate. Here, side by side, may be seen the handsomest and ugliest of Anvil buildings. The guilds are kept clean and in good repair, and both Mages' Guild and Fighters' Guild are unusually ambitious and industrious by Cyrodiil's common standard. The head of the Mages' Guild, Carahil, is a scholar of good reputation, and an outspoken enemy of necromancy, summoning, and the dark arts. Fighters' Guild here is well staffed and active, and shows no sign of the fecklessness and poor morale of chapters elsewhere in Cyrodiil. However, next to the Mages' Guild is a ruin, long boarded up and abandoned, and a prominent eyesore. Westgate. This is the residential district of Anvil. The houses here are shabby and ill-kept. People are untidy and dull, with the exception of Anvil's famous citizen, the Argonian authoress Quillweave, who produces wretched books celebrating the misadventures and schemes of the lower and criminal classes. This person does her race no favor by confirming the prejudices of many who consider Argonians to be ungodly, dishonest, and worthless, and little better than beasts. Harborside. The docks are rotten and in ill repair, and all manner of smells issue forth from the holds of ships and ramshackle warehouses. Shiftless persons gather here to bask in the sun, gossip, chatter, and plot how to beg or steal gold for wine and ale. Here a good woman named Mirabelle Monet runs a house for homeless sailors, but, I'm sorry to say, her mistaken tender-heartedness and charity only encourages lingering and drunkenness. Instead, she should urge these wicked and idle men to improve themselves through industry and the teachings of the Nine. There is, however, a very appealing lighthouse south of the harbor, from which one may contemplate a distant and less disagreeable view of Anvil's castle, town, and its harbor setting. May the Nine guard and guide you.
A kiss, sweet mother. A description of the Black Sacrament in order to enlist the Dark Brotherhood. Do you wish to summon the Dark Brotherhood? You wish to see someone dead? Pray, child. Pray, and let the Night Mother hear your plea. You must perform that most profane of rituals, the Black Sacrament. Create an effigy of the intended victim, assembled from actual body parts, including a heart, skull, bones, and flesh. Encircle that effigy with candles. The ritual itself must then commence. Proceed to stab the effigy repeatedly with a dagger rubbed with the petals of a nightshade plant, while whispering this plea. Sweet mother, send your child unto me, for the sins of the unworthy must be baptized in blood and fear. Then wait, child, for the dread Father Sithis rewards the patient. You will be visited by a representative of the Dark Brotherhood, and so begins a contract bound in blood.
Alchemist Journal, the idyllic journal of an alchemist. Coming to this area was a brilliant decision. The local flora seemed to have many useful properties that I've been able to utilize into new potions. Outside, the rich soil has allowed the cuttings I've collected to grow into fine and bountiful plants. This afternoon, I think I'll journey out for more mushrooms, as my current supply is beginning to dwindle. On a personal note, I have moved my alchemy work outside the shack. I find the midday air is a boon to my health, as well as inspirational to my work.
Daughter of the Niben, by Sather Longmeat, the history of Bravil Town and its famous statue of the lucky old lady. Bravil is one of the most charming towns in Cyrodiil, sparkling in her simple beauty, illustrious by her past. No visit to the southern part of the Imperial Province is complete without a walk along Bravil's exciting river port, a talk with her friendly native children, and of course, in the tradition of the village, a whispered word to the famous statue of the lucky old lady. Many thousands of years before the arrival of the Atmorans, the native Ayleid people had long lived in the vicinity of modern-day Bravil. The Niben, then as now, provided food and transportation, and the village was even more populous than it is today. We are not certain what they called their region. As insular as they were, the word they used would be translated to simply mean home. These savage Ayleids were so firmly entrenched that the Bravil region was one of the very last areas to be liberated by the Elysian army in the 2nd century of the First Era. Though little remains of that era culturally or archaeologically, thank Mera, the tales of debauchery and depravity have entered into the realm of legends. How the Ayleids were able to survive such a long siege is debated by scholars to this day. All, however, grant the honor of the victory to one of the Empress Alicia's centurions, a man called Teo Bravilius Tassus, the man for whom the modern town is named. It was said he invaded the village no less than 4 times, after heavy resistance, but each time upon the morning dawning, all his soldiers within would be dead, murdered. By the time more centuria had arrived, the fortified town was repopulated with Ayleids. After the second successful invasion, secret underground tunnels were found and filled in, but once again, come morning, the soldiers were again dead, and the citizens had returned. After the third successful siege, legions were posted outside of the town, watching the roads and riverway for signs of attack, but no one came. The next morning, the bodies of the invading soldiers were thrown from the parapets of the town's walls. Teo Bravilius Tassus knew that the Ayleids must be hiding themselves somewhere in the town, waiting until nightfall, and then murdering the soldiers while they slept. The question was where. After the 4th invasion, he himself led the soldiers in a thorough inspection of every corner, every shadow. Just as they were ready to give up, the great centurion noticed 2 curious things. High in the sheer walls of the town, beyond anyone's ability to climb, there were indentations, narrow platforms. And by the river just inside the town, he discovered a single footprint from someone clearly not wearing the imperial boot. The Ayleids, it seemed, had taken 2 routes to hide themselves. Some had levitated up to the walls and hidden themselves high above, and others had slipped into the river, where they were able to breathe underwater. It was a relatively easy task, once the strange elves' even stranger hiding holes had been discovered, to rout them out and see to it that there were no more midnight assassinations of the Empress's troops. It may seem beyond belief that an entire community could be so skilled in these spells hundreds and hundreds of years before the Mages Guild was formed to teach the ways of magicka to the common folk. There does, however, appear to be evidence that, just as the Psijics on the Isle of Artaeum developed mysticism long before there was a name for it, the even more obscure Ayleids of southern Cyrodiil had developed what was to be known as the School of Alteration. It is not, after all, much of a stretch when one considers that other Ayleids at the time of Bravil's conquering, and even later, were shapeshifters. The community of pre-Bravil could not turn into beasts and monsters, but they could alter their bodies and hide themselves away, a related and useful skill to be sure, but not so effective to save themselves in the end. Very little is left of the Ayleid presence in Bravil of today, though architectural marvels of other kinds are very evident. As beautiful and arresting as the benevolence of Mara Cathedral and the Lord's Palace are, no man-made structure in Bravil is as famous as the statue called the Lucky Old Lady. The tales about the lady and who she was are too numerous to list. It is said she was born the illegitimate daughter of a prostitute in Bravil, certainly an inauspicious beginning to a lucky life. She was teased by the other children, who forever asked her who her father was. Every day she would run back to her little shack in tears from their cruelty. One day, a priest of Stendarr came to Bravil to do charitable work. He saw the weeping little girl, and when asked, she told him the cause of her misery. She didn't know who her father was. "You have kind eyes, and a mouth that tells no lies," replied the priest after a moment, smiling. "You are clearly a child of Stendar, the god of mercy, charity, and well-earned luck." The priest's thoughtful words changed the girl forever. Whenever she was asked who her father was, she would cheerfully reply, "Why, I am a child of luck." She grew up to be a barmaid, it was said, kind and generous to her customers, frequently allowing them to pay when they were able to. On a particularly rainy night, she gave shelter to a young man dressed in rags, who not only had no money to pay, but was belligerent and rude to her as she fed him and gave him a room. The next morning, he left without so much as a thank you. Her friends and family admonished her, saying that she had to be careful. He might have even been dangerous. A week later, a royal carriage arrived in Bravil with an imperial prince within. Though he was scarcely recognizable, it was the same young man the lady had helped. He apologized profusely for his appearance and behavior, explaining that he had been kidnapped and cursed by a band of witches, and it wasn't until later that he had returned to his senses. The lady was showered with riches, which she, of course, generously shared with all the people of Bravil, where she lived to a content old age. No one knows when the statue to her was erected in the town square, or who the artist was, but it has stood there for thousands of years since the first era. To this day, visitors and Bravilians alike go to the lucky old lady to ask for her to bless them with luck in their travails. Just one more charming aspect of the charming and very lucky little village of Bravil.
Gods, what did a scoundrel like me do to deserve someone as beautiful as you?
You're adorable.
Ah, not this again. Are you fucking serious? I'm a grown-ass man. I'm a warrior and a skilled bladesman. I'm not, nor will I ever fucking be, adorable.
You're even more adorable when you're irritated.
Hello again.
Let's rest here.
Hell yeah.
You're right, love.
Let's talk.
Aye, sweetheart.
Is there anything you would like to ask me?
Is there anyone you fancy?
You, of course.
You're making me blush, Dragonborn.
Who do you fancy, then?
Maybe one day you'll find out.
Any thoughts?
You have something of mine, and I can never seem to get it back.
Oh, what's that, Kaidan?
My attention.
I'm going to get some rest.
Best idea I've heard all day. It's been a long road. Get your rest. I won't let anyone disturb you.
You look tired too. Why not join me?
Oh.
Sleep wasn't what I was thinking of.
Feeling frisky there? I won't say no to that. Every time I see that smile. Gods, I want you.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that? I love that about you, do you know that? Fantastic. Can't decide if I get shit scared when you're in a fight, or I find it a bit thrilling to watch. Know what I mean? Bit of both, methinks.
Come here and do your worst.
The first word that comes to mind is...
I'm ending this right now!
Done.
If death is what you seek, I am happy to oblige. Fall to my blade. Good one. You're not gonna like how this ends. You really don't wanna fuck with me!
Shit. Are you alright, little dragon? Pardon me, you jumped out of my chest that fight. I don't know what I'd fucking do if I ever lost you.
Oh, what the fuck? Bloody stinks in here.
Good afternoon. What do you need?
Good dog.
Good day.
Heard about what you did, killing those foul bitches. Well done, companion.
Get that thing out of here!
You've got nothing on the Dragonborn!
You're not supposed to be in here.
Thank you. I thought that beast would be the end of me.
Good dog.
I am ready to hunt beside you, should you wish it.
Should I be holding the blade?
I'm sure that the owner of that place is relieved. They certainly came through with the coin.
Going to sit my ass down, drink an ale, and not run
It can be harder to balance.
May the wind be always at your back.
That comes down to footwork then.
Exactly. When you have a big heavy weight swinging around your upper body, your lower body has to compensate, or you'll fall right over.
My love.
All right, I give up. Why? Are you staring at me like that?
I was just realizing. Been a bit since I kissed you. Thought maybe your lips were lonely for mine.
Do you actually expect that line to work, Kaidan?
Expect? No.
But...
Hope? Oh, darling. You best believe I'm hoping. I have a powerful need to hold you in my arms and feel those lips against mine right now.
Horses. All day long. Do you have any idea how dull horses are?
You come here where you're not wanted. You eat our food, you pollute our city with your stink, and you refuse to help the Stormcloaks.
But we haven't taken a side because it's not our fight.
Hey, maybe the reason these Greyskins don't help in the war is because they're Imperial spies.
Imperial spies? You can't be serious.
Maybe we'll pay you a visit tonight, little spy. We got ways of finding out what you really are.
Do you hate the Dark Elves? Are you here to bully us and tell us to leave?
No, I don't hate your people.
You've come to the wrong city, then. Windhelm's a haven of prejudice and narrow thinking, unworthy of one such as you.
Looked like those Nords were giving you trouble.
Nothing new there. Most
my
of the
sign to
Nords
ask my
living in
own lover.
Windhelm don't care much
I
for
hope they
us.
say yes.
But Rolf is the worst by far. He likes to get drunk and walk around the Grey Quarter yelling insults at us in the small hours of the morning. Oh, a real charmer, that one.
Why would anyone think you're a spy?
Some of these Nords will come up with any excuse to despise us. And it isn't just the Dark Elves they hate. They make a target of the Argonians as well. In fact, just about anyone who isn't a Nord is fair game for their bullying. Safe travels.
Every night, I walk around the Grey Quarter and let them Greyskins know what I think of them. We ought to dig a big hole, throw all them Dark Elves and Argonians in it, and let them tear each other to pieces.
You really think the Dark Elves are Imperial spies?
Wouldn't surprise me. They've done nothing to help in the fight for Skyrim's freedom. Those Falmer are elves too. I bet they're working together. Maybe I should round up some men and take us a few prisoners to interrogate.
Why do you hate the Dark Elves?
They're parasites. They're living in our city under our protection. What do they do for us? Nothing. I know the High King invited them here, but he didn't ask me or anyone else first. Maybe he should have. Get out of my face.
This city is almost in ruins.
Come on in. We've got warm food, warm drinks, and warm beds.
What do you need?
Aye.
What do you need? Good evening.
From what I hear, I fear the night, because werewolves and vampires don't.
Then it's true, what everyone is saying. That Aventius Arentino is doing the Black Sacrament, trying to summon the Dark Brotherhood?
Oh, Grimvar, always with the nonsense. No, of course not. Those are just tales.
Fine, then I'll invite him out to play. He lives right there. I'm going to knock on his door.
No, child, wait! That boy, that house, they are cursed.
Ha! Then I'm right. I knew it. He's trying to have somebody killed.
All right, I won't deny it, child. What you heard is true. But Aventius Arentino walks a dark path. His actions can lead only to ruin. Now, enough. We will speak no more of this. I am the only friend you need. I try to keep Grimvar safe, but these are dangerous times.
Did I hear you say something about a cursed child?
Yes. It is quite sad. A young boy, Aventius Arentino, lost his mother recently and was sent to an orphanage. But he has returned home, and people have heard strange chanting. They say it's the Black Sacrament, the ritual to contact the Dark Brotherhood. Why a little boy would want to contact a group of murderers is beyond me. But he is inviting evil into this city. Until next time.
So very tired. Grow up, you old crone. You'll get what you deserve. The Dark Brotherhood will see to that. Sweet mother, send your child unto me, for the sins of the unworthy must be baptized in blood and fear. Finally! My prayers have been answered!
Are you all right?
It worked! I knew you'd come, I just knew it! I did the Black Sacrament over and over with the body and the things, and then you came, an assassin from the Dark Brotherhood. You don't have to say anything. There's no need. You're here, so I know you'll accept my contract.
Contract?
My mother, she died. I'm all alone now. So they sent me to that terrible orphanage in Riften, Honor Hall. The headmistress is an evil, cruel woman. They call her Grella the Kind, but she's not kind. She's terrible to all of us. So I ran away and came home and performed the Black Sacrament. Now you're here, and you could kill Grella the Kind.
Aye.
Do you think we should go after Grellad?
If what Aventius said about her is really true, then we should bleed her like a pig.
You sound sure of that.
Some of my regrets are for things that I didn't do. Times when I stood back and watched when I should have acted. I guess I see this as an opportunity to make up for some of that. Kill some horrible old woman, and stop those little children from being hurt.
I wonder why the Brotherhood hasn't reached out to Aventius yet.
No idea. Maybe because he's a kid.
At the very least, we should see what's going on at that orphanage.
True. It's hard to think a whole city would turn a blind eye to them being abused.
lot to learn of Skyrim's history.
Stay away from the Arentino residence. The place is cursed.
Well, hello.
Here, have 100 gold pieces.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
All right then.
Hello. Ha! Found you.
Well, let's do something about it then! You're dead!
It's reassuring to know I have someone so skilled in the art. Healing. I'll be your shield. If you'll mend my scratches. I'm glad to be wandering the wilds with you.
Sudiria. First off, I'm sorry about the tests. My hope was that it would give me a window into your mind, and bring comfort to mine. You gave the beggar a full purse of gold. You're someone who goes above and beyond, putting the lives of others above your own. But not even 1,000 septons can save the life of every man, woman, and child. So my advice to you is to not fall victim to your kindness. There are people like me who will take advantage of it, and there are times when you'll have to make a hard decision for the greater good. And there are times when you'll have to make a hard decision for the greater gain. Save who you can, but do what you must. Lastly, to the ones I knew in life, don't mourn my death. As one of you once told me, when all you do is look to the past, it's time to close the book on one's future. I do so on my own terms. Goodbye. Adonato Leotelli's journal. It's not uncommon these days to see warriors of great renown pass through Candlehearth Hall, beckoned by the clarion call of war. Many of them seat themselves by the fire, order their spirit of choice, and regale the patrons with stories of their triumphs. It is, however, a strange thing to watch such a tale write itself in front of you. But that is precisely what happened when two legendary warriors, Renwulf the Brawler and Ulrich Frostsword, sat down at the table beside me. Perhaps it was the mead that shortened their tempers, but it did not take long for a spirited argument to become heated. Renwulf, a brawler famous for fighting with only his fists, had compared Ulrich to a soldier who fires a trebuchet, a man who is only as dangerous as the tool he employed. Ulrich, for his part, cut right through Renwulf's claim. If the brawler relied only on his hands, then he should drink his mead from his palm and slice his bread with his fingernails. Not to mention, there are things in this world, Ulrich said, that fists alone cannot kill, even if that fist belonged to Randagulf himself, whereas his sword was blessed by the strength of frost itself and could cut through the walls of ice that line the edge of the world. Renwulf scoffed at the notion, claiming that no man or beast had yet to survive a single punch. It was then that the divines, or perhaps darker minds, offered a resolution. A warrior came bursting through the doors, claiming a monstrous spider had taken root in the Cromvanger cave, claiming 3 in his hunting party. His widened eyes and frowned lips, telltale signs of fear, spoke volumes to us all. It was a warning few would fail to heed, but our 2 heroes saw it as something else entirely, an opportunity to settle their dispute. And so the next morning they departed for Cromvanger cave. 3 weeks had passed since. In my life I have written tales of valor and tragedy, and those that are one and the same, and while the final chapter of Renwulf and Ulrich has yet to be written, I fear this may fall into the latter category, as neither has seen fit to return. Arcane's journal. Confound it! Of all the damned tools to have within my reach, it ends up being my journal and quill pen. Meanwhile, my tool bag lies on a ledge mere inches beyond my reach, containing a dagger that would allow me to potentially cut my pinned hand off and have a chance of surviving. But no, I had to be stupid about it. I said I would be able to climb better without a dagger strapped to my belt, and that an explorer's greatest tool is the legacy of his work within his journal. How stupid I feel. Now writing seems to be the only thing I have left that keeps me sane enough and prevents me from screaming for help and alerting all the Falmer that are swarming all over this place. It's a miracle they didn't hear me fall and the rock shift before crushing my hand between it and the chasm. I hope you're happy, Marcus. I really do, because I'm certain I'm going to die in here. For what? A few dig sites and the promise of a relic that ended up not even being here. Thanks a lot.
The Ethereum Wars by Teron Dreth, a treatise on the collapse of Dwemer city-states in Skyrim, dedicated to Ketria, my friend and colleague. The end, when it came, was swift. In the span of 3 short years, the great dwarven cities of Skyrim, from Markarth to Velothi Mountains, fell before the armies of the High King. Cities that had held fast against the North for over 100 years crumbled abruptly and without warning. For centuries, scholars have marveled at the sudden collapse of the Dwemer city-states. Even the Nords seem to have been taken by surprise, though their chronicles were quick to ascribe their success to King Gelir's inspired tactics and the blessings of Shor. My research suggests a much different course, however. In the decades Preceding their fall, the dwarven cities of Skyrim had been decimated by internal disputes and infighting over a most surprising cause, Etherium. Modern scholars know Etherium as a rare, luminescent blue crystal found in some Dwemer ruins. Most consider it little more than a curiosity, as it has proven all but impossible to work with. While it has a strong magical aura, it is alchemically inert, and no known processes can enchant, smelt, mold, bind, or break it. To the dwarfs, of course, such problems were merely challenges. In the years following King Harald's reign, the Dwemer discovered a considerable source of Etherium in their deepest dwellings. An alliance of 4 cities led by Archantams, the great research center in the southern reach, was formed to oversee its extraction, processing and study, and a new so-called Etherium forge constructed to smelt it under precisely controlled conditions. If the inscriptions I discovered are to be believed, the results were nothing short of spectacular. The items produced by the forge were artifacts of immense power, imbued from the moment of their creation with powerful enchantments. The Dwarven alliance shattered almost immediately, as the 4 city-states and their rivals attempted to claim the forge. We can only speculate that none were successful. Decades of conflict merely weakened them all, allowing for King Gallia's subsequent conquests. And though the Dwemer reclaimed most of their lands a century later, there is no evidence that they ever resumed the research on Etherium. Perhaps the costs had just been too great. But nothing like the Etherium forge described in the inscriptions has ever been found within the borders of Skyrim. It may have been destroyed long ago, by the Nord invaders or the Dwemer themselves, or perhaps it, like the secrets of Etherium itself, still remains to be discovered.
Fisherman's Journal. A decent catch of fish is getting harder to come by. Without a good spot soon, I don't think we'll survive the next winter. So I'm traveling further south towards Lake Ilinalta. Folks say it's cursed. Whole imperial fort just sank into the water one day, and they say the ruins have been haunted since. When I asked, I got ghost stories. Tales of people who went out near the lake and never came back. They say spirits haunt the hallways at the sunken fort and steal little children from their mother's cribs. No amount of coin could convince any of the nearby villagers to guide me there, so I'm following the wider river. Divines protect me, I hope the stories aren't true.
Almalexia lay in her bed of fur dreaming, not until the sun burned through her window, infusing the light wood and flesh colors of her chamber in a milky glow did she open her eyes. It was quiet and serene, a stunning reverse of the flavor of her dreams, so full of blood and celebration. For a few moments she simply stared at the ceiling, trying to sort through her visions. In the courtyard of her palace was a boiling pool which steamed in the coolness of the winter morning. At the wave of her hand it cleared, and she saw the face and form of her lover, Vivek, in his study to the north. She did not want to speak right away. He looked so handsome in his dark red robes, writing his poetry as he did every morning. "Vivek," she said, and he raised his head in a smile, looking at her face across thousands of miles. "I have seen a vision of the end of the war." "After 80 years, I don't think anyone can imagine an end," said Vivek with a smile. But he grew serious, trusting Almalexia's prophecies. "Who will win, Morrowind or the Cyrodiilic Empire?" "Without Sothersil and Morrowind, we will lose," she replied. "My intelligence tells me the Empire will strike us to the north in early springtide, by first seed at the latest. Could you go to Artaeum and convince him to return?" "I'll leave today," she said, simply. 4 Morning Star, 2920. Gideon, Black Marsh. The Empress paced around her cell. Wintertide gave her wasteful energy, while in the summer she would merely sit by her window and be grateful for each breath of stale swamp wind that came to cool her. Across the room, her unfinished tapestry of a dance at the Imperial Court seemed to mock her. She ripped it from its frame, tearing the pieces apart as they drifted to the floor. Then she laughed at her own useless gesture of defiance. She would have plenty of time to repair it and craft 100 more. The Emperor had locked her up in Castle Giovese 7 years ago, and would likely keep her here until he or she died. With a sigh, she pulled the cord to call her knight Zook. He appeared at the door within minutes, fully uniformed as befitted an Imperial Guard. Most of the native Kothringi tribesmen of Black Marsh preferred to go about naked, but Zook had taken a positive delight to fashion. His silver reflective skin was scarcely visible, only his face, neck, and hands.
Your Imperial Highness,
he said with a bow. Zook, said Empress Tavia. I'm bored. Let's discuss methods of assassinating my husband today. 14 Morning Star, 2920, the Imperial City, Cyrodiil. The chimes proclaiming Southwind's prayer echoed through the wide boulevards and gardens of the Imperial City, calling all to their temples. The Emperor Riemann III always attended a service at the Temple of the One, while his son and heir prince, Juliek, found it more political to attend a service at a different temple for each religious holiday. This year, it was at the Cathedral Benevolence of Mara. The Benevolence's services were mercifully short, but it was not until well after noon that the Emperor was able to return to the palace. By then, the arena combatants were impatiently waiting for the start of the ceremony. The crowd was far less restless, as the potentate Versidou Shai had arranged for a demonstration from a troupe of Khajiit acrobats. Your religion is so much more convenient than mine, said the Emperor to his potentate by way of an apology. What is the first game?
A one-on-one battle between two able warriors,
said the potentate, his scaly skin catching the sun as he rose.
Armed, befitting their culture.
Sounds good, said the Emperor, and he clapped his hands. Let the sport commence! As soon as he saw the two warriors enter the arena, to the roar of the crowd, Emperor Riemann III remembered that he had agreed to this several months before and forgotten about it. One combatant was the potentate's son, Severian Chorak, a glistening ivory-yellow eel, gripping his katana and wakizashi with his thin, deceptively weak-looking arms. The other was the Emperor's son, Prince Juliek, in ebony armor with a savage orcish helm, shield and longsword at his side.
This will be fascinating to watch,
hissed the potentate, a wide grin across his narrow face.
I don't know if I've seen a Cyrodiil fight an Akavir like this. Usually it's an army against army. At last we can settle which philosophy is better. To create armor to combat swords as your people do, or to create swords to combat armor as mine do.
No one in the crowd, aside from a few scattered Akaviri counselors and the potentate himself, wanted Severin Chorak to win, but there was a collective intake of breath at the sight of his graceful movements. His sword seemed to be a part of him, a tail coming from his arms to match the one behind him. It was a trick of counterbalance, allowing the young serpent man to roll up into a circle and spin into the center of the ring in offensive position. The prince had to plod forward the less impressive traditional way. As they sprang at each other, the crowd bellowed with delight. The Akaviri was like a moon in orbit around the prince, effortlessly springing over his shoulder to attempt a blow from behind, but the prince whirled around quickly to block with his shield. His counter-strike met only air as his foe fell flat to the ground and slithered between his legs, tripping him. The prince fell to the ground with a resounding crash. Metal and air melted together as Severin Chorak rained strike after strike upon the prince, who blocked every one with his shield.
We don't have shields in our culture,
murmured Versidou Shai to the Emperor.
It seems strange to my boy, I imagine. In our country, if you don't want to get hit, you move out of the way.
When Severin Chorak was rearing back to begin another series of blinding attacks, the prince kicked at his tail, sending him falling back momentarily. In an instant, he had rebounded, but the prince was also back on his feet. The two circled one another until the snake man spun forward, katana extended. The prince saw his foe's plan and blocked the katana with his longsword, and the wakizashi with his shield. Its short punching blade impaled itself on the metal, and Severian Chorak was thrown off balance. The prince's long blade slashed across the Akavir's chest, and the sudden intense pain caused him to drop both his weapons. In a moment, it was over. Severian Chorak was prostrate in the dust with the prince's longsword at his throat. The game is over, shouted the Emperor, barely heard over the applause from the stadium. The prince grinned and helped Severian Chorak up and over to a healer. The Emperor clapped his potentate on the back, feeling relieved. He had not realized when the fight had begun how little chance he had given his son at victory.
He will make a fine warrior,
said Versidou Shai.
and a great emperor.
Just remember, laughed the Emperor, you Akaviri have a lot of showing moves, but if just one of our strikes comes through, it's all over for you.
Oh, I'll remember that,
nodded the potentate. Riemann thought about that comment for the rest of the games, and had trouble fully enjoying himself. Could the potentate be another enemy, just as the Empress had turned out to be? The matter would bear watching. 21 Morning Star, 2920, Mournhold, Morrowind.
Why don't you wear that green gown I gave you?
Asked the Duke of Mournhold, watching the young maiden put on her clothes.
It doesn't fit,
smiled Tarala.
And you know I like red. It doesn't fit because you're getting fat,
laughed the Duke, pulling her down on the bed, kissing her breasts and the pouch of her stomach. She laughed at the tickles but pulled herself up, wrapping her red robe around her.
I'm round like a woman should be, said Tarala. Will I see you tomorrow? No, said the Duke. I must entertain Vivek tomorrow, and the next day the Duke of Ebonheart is coming. Do you know I never really appreciated Almalexia and her political skills until she left?
It's the same with me, smiled Tarala. You only appreciate me when I'm gone.
That's not true at all, snorted the Duke. I appreciate you now.
Tarala allowed the Duke one last kiss before she was out the door. She kept thinking about what he said. Would he appreciate her more or less when he knew that she was getting fat? Because she was carrying his child. Would he appreciate her enough to marry her? The year continues in Sun's Dawn. Three Suns Dawn, 2920, the Isle of Artaeum, Somerset. So the Sill watched the initiates float one by one up to the awesome tree, taking a fruit or flower from its high branches before dropping back to the ground with varying degrees of grace. He took a moment while nodding his head in approval to admire the day. The whitewashed statue of Ciribane, which the great mage was said to have posed for in ancient days, stood at the precipice of the cliff overlooking the bay. Pale purple proscato flowers waved to and fro in the gentle breeze. Ocean, and the misty border between Artaeum and the main island of Somerset. By and large, acceptable, he proclaimed as the last student dropped her fruit in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the fruit and flowers were back in the tree. With another wave, the students had formed into position in a semicircle around the sorcerer. He pulled a small, fibrous ball about a foot in diameter from his white robes. What is this? The students understood this test. It asked them to cast a spell of identification on the mysterious object. Each initiate closed his or her eyes and imagined the ball in the realm of the universal truth. Its energy had a unique resonance as all physical and spiritual matter does. A negative aspect, a duplicate version, relative paths, true meaning, a song in the cosmos, a texture in the fabric of space, a facet of being that has always existed and always will exist. A ball, said a young Nord named Wellig, which brought giggles from some of the younger initiates, but a frown from most, including Sotha Sil. If you must be stupid, at least be amusing, growled the sorcerer, and then looked at a young dark-haired Altmer lass who looked confused. Lilatha, do you know? It's a Grom, said Lilatha uncertainly. What the Dragmeth after they've... Crevinism. Carvinism, but very good nonetheless, said Sotha Sil. Now tell me, what does that mean? I don't know, admitted Lilatha. The rest of the students also shook their heads. There are layers to understanding all things, said Sotha Sil. The common man looks at an object and fits it into a place in his way of thinking. Those skilled in the old ways, in the ways of the Sijic, in mysticism, can see an object and identify it by its proper role. But one more layer is needed to be peeled back to achieve understanding. You must identify the object by its role and its truth, and interpret that meaning. In this case, this ball is indeed Grom, which is a substance created by the Drew, an underwater race in the north and western parts of the continent. For 1 year in their life, they undergo Carvinism. They walk upon the land. Following that, they return to the water and meth, or devour the skin and organs they need for land dwelling. Then they vomit it up into little balls like this. Grom, Drew vomit. Students looked at the ball quite queasily. Sotha Sil always loved this lesson. 4 Suns Dawn, 2920. The Imperial City, Cyrodiil. Spies, muttered the Emperor, sitting at his bath, staring at a lump on his foot. All around me, traitors and spies. His mistress Rija washed his back, her legs wrapped around his waist. She knew after all these many years when to be sensual and when to be sexual. When he was in a mood like this, It was best to be calmly, soothingly, seductively sensual, and not to say a word unless he asked her a direct question, which he did. What do you think when a fellow steps on his Imperial Majesty's foot and says, "I'm sorry, Your Imperial Majesty"? Don't you think, "Pardon me, Your Imperial Majesty" is more appropriate? "I'm sorry." Well, that almost sounds like the bastard Argonian was sorry I am his Imperial Majesty. That he hoped we lose the war with Morrowind. That's what it sounds like.
What would make you feel better?
Asked Reacher.
Would you like him flown? He is, as you say, the battle chief of Soulrest. It would teach him to mind where he's stepping.
My father would have flogged him. My grandfather would have had him killed, the Emperor grumbled. But I don't mind if they all step on my feet, provided they respect me and don't plot against me.
You must trust someone.
Only you, smiled the Emperor, turning slightly to give Reacher a kiss. And my son, Shipwreck, I suppose, though I wish he were a little more cautious.
And your council? And the Potente?
Asked Reacher. A pack of spies and a snake, laughed the Emperor, kissing his mistress again. As they began to make love, he whispered, "As long as you're true, I can handle the world." 13 Suns Dawn, 2920, Mournhold, Morrowind. Tarala stood at the black bejeweled city gates. A wind howled around her, but she felt nothing. The Duke had been furious upon hearing his favorite mistress was pregnant and cast her from his sight. She tried again and again to see him, but his guards turned her away. Finally, she returned to her family and told them the truth. If only she had lied and told them she did not know who the father was. A soldier, a wandering adventurer, anyone. But she told him that her father was the Duke, a member of the House in Doru, and they did what she knew they would have to do as proud members of the House Redoran. Upon her hand was burned the sign of expulsion her weeping father had branded on her, but the Duke's cruelty hurt her far more. She looked out the gate and into the wide winter plains, twisted sleeping trees and skies without birds. No one in Morrowind would take her in now. She must go far away. With slow, sad steps, she began her journey. 16 Suns Dawn, 2920, Senchal, Anequina, modern-day Elsewhere.
What troubles you?
Asked Queen Hassama, noticing her husband's sour mood. At the end of most lovers' days, he was in an excellent mood, dancing in the ballroom with all the guests. But tonight, he retired early. When she found him, he was curled in the bed, frowning. "That blasted bard's tale about Polydor and Eloisa put me in a rotten state," he growled. "Why did he have to be so depressing?"
But isn't that the truth of the tale, my dear? Weren't they doomed because of the cruel nature of the world?
It doesn't matter what the truth is. He did a rotten job of telling a rotten tale, and I'm not going to let him do it anymore. King Drozel sprang from the bed. His eyes were roomy with tears. "Where did they say he was from again?"
"I believe Gilverdale in easternmost Valenwood,"
said the Queen, shaken.
"My husband, what are you going to do?"
Drozel was out of the room in a single spring, bounding up the stairs to his tower. If Queen Hassama knew what her husband was going to do, she did not try to stop him. He had been erratic of late, prone to fits and even occasional seizures, but she never suspected the depths of his madness and his loathing for the bard and his tale of the wickedness and perversity found in mortal men. 19 Suns Dawn, 2920, Gilverdale, Valenwood.
"Listen to me again,"
said the old carpenter.
"If cell 3 holds worthless brass, then cell 2 holds the gold key. If cell 1 holds the gold key, then cell 3 holds worthless brass. If cell 2 holds worthless brass, then cell 1 holds the gold key." "I understand,"
said the lady.
"You told me, and so cell 1 holds the gold key, right?"
"No," said the carpenter.
"Let me start from the top." "Mama?"
said the little boy, pulling on his mother's sleeve.
"Just one moment, dear. Mother's talking,"
she said, concentrating on the riddle.
"You said cell 3 holds the golden key if cell 2 holds worthless brass, right?" "No," said the carpenter patiently. "Cell 3 holds worthless brass. If cell 2...
"Mama!" cried the boy. His mother finally looked. A bright red mist was pouring over the town in a wave, engulfing building after building in its wake. Striding before was a red-skinned giant, the Daedra Molag Bal. He was smiling. 29 Suns Dawn, 2920, Gilverdale, Valenwood. Almalexia stopped her steed in the vast moor of mud to let him drink from the river. He refused to, even seemed repelled by the water. It struck her as odd. They'd been making excellent time from Mournhold, and surely he must be thirsty. She dismounted and joined her retinue.
"Where are we now?"
she asked. One of her ladies pulled out a map.
"I thought we were approaching a town called Gilverdale."
Almalexia closed her eyes and opened them again quickly. The vision was too much to bear. As her followers watched, she picked up a piece of brick and a fragment of bone and clutched them to her heart. "We must continue on to Artaeum," she said quietly. "The year continues in First Seed."
Gods, what did a scoundrel like me do to deserve someone as beautiful as you?
You seem rather pensive today, Kaidan. Is something wrong?
No, not really. Well, sort of. It's nothing. Don't you fret. It'll pass.
Well, now I am definitely going to fret, as you put it. What's wrong?
Just feeling a bit selfish today, that's all.
You're never selfish, Kaidan. What are you talking about?
You have no idea just how selfish I feel right now. Or how selfish I want to fucking be, for that matter.
You're going to have to explain that.
It feels like I can't ever get enough of you to satisfy me. I always want more. More time with you, more of you, more time alone with you, to show you how I love you.
That's all you have to say. We can take a day off, spend it together.
I really fucking need that. Just to have you in my arms, and nothing to think about, except how many different ways I can make you say my name.
Let's rest here.
Seems like a safe place to spend the night.
Call me when you're ready to go, love. Can I get you anything, love?
Let's talk.
Yes, darling.
How are you doing, Kai?
I'm feeling well. How about you?
I'm doing well.
That's good to know.
Come with me, I need your help.
It honors me by simply walking at your side.
There's a very large garden out there. We need to collect a lot of different flora samples if you want variety.